Today we're tackling one of the most talked about political controversies of the past few hours. Following the Labour Party's announcement that it would be reversing its decision on winter heating support payments, several Labour representatives took to the media to justify the U-turn. Among them was MP James Murray, whose appearance has sparked particular controversy. The reason? He was directly accused of misrepresenting economic data on national television. The situation has escalated to the point where even Sky News, yes, the very same channel that has often been sympathetic to Labour, chose to confront him head-on. The presenter, visibly fed up with the party's contradictions, challenged him directly, highlighting Labour's growing credibility crisis. In today's segment, we'll be analysing that exchange in detail. During the interview, Murray was asked why the decision to reverse the policy on the winter payment had been made at this specific moment. He responded that the government took this step because, after last year's tough, but supposedly necessary, measures, the economic outlook had improved. He claimed the administration had to act quickly to stabilize the public finances due to the condition in which they inherited them, and that the recent economic growth had now allowed them to revisit the income threshold for the benefit. However, the journalist pushed back firmly. She questioned the accuracy of his claims, pointing out that economic forecasts have worsened since the initial announcement. Public debt has risen, and growth projections have been downgraded. She challenged him to simply admit that the backlash from the public had forced a rethink. Murray maintained that the adjustment was only possible thanks to an improvement in the fiscal situation. But the presenter corrected him again, reminding him that the policy was announced back in July, at a time when forecasts were far more optimistic. In October, the budget projected 2% growth for the year. By March, the OBR had slashed that to 1%. Since then, factors such as Trump-era tariffs and global uncertainty have worsened the outlook. Budget figures, as well as reports from the OBR and OECD, have all shown a downward trend, largely influenced by international issues like U.S. trade policy. Murray tried to push back, citing the UK's top-performing growth in the G7 during the first quarter of the year, along with improved long-term forecasts driven by recent reforms and multiple interest rate cuts. Despite his efforts, the interrogation continued. The journalist asked why he wouldn't just admit that the decision was influenced by public pressure surrounding the income threshold. While Murray did acknowledge that the government had listened to the public, he stuck to the line that the move was only possible because of the supposed stability of public finances. The interviewer remained skeptical. She told him plainly that she didn't believe him, and that given the figures and the global context, his justification simply didn't add up. She even went as far as to say that, intelligent as he may be, he didn't seem to believe his own words. Watching the interview, it's hard not to feel that the MP is hiding the truth. Just a glance at his expression is enough to sense the disconnect between what he says and what he truly thinks. His argument crumbles under the weight of the facts. What's perhaps most surprising is to see Sky News adopt a more critical stance. Outlets like the BBC and Sky News often repeat Labour's talking points without much challenge, so it's particularly noteworthy that, on this occasion, the presenter chose to hold him fully accountable. Finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you make of the MP's performance and the interviewer's firmness? Let me know in the comments. In other news, it has come to light that the British government has spent nearly £53 million over the past 4 years on payments to migrants who agreed to leave the country voluntarily. The funds were allocated through the Voluntary Return Scheme, an initiative that offers up to £3,000 per person as a financial incentive to return to their country of origin. The scheme also covers the cost of airline tickets. Between 2021 and 2024, a total of 13,637 individuals opted for assisted departure, with a sharp rise in recent years, from 2,179 in 2022 to 6,799 in 2024, according to official figures. The company Prepaid Payment Solutions Limited was contracted to manage the scheme's payments and received £53,894,226 from the Home Office between 2021 and February 2025 to administer the program. Those eligible for the scheme include rejected asylum seekers, confirmed victims of human trafficking, and individuals who are homeless or suffering from serious medical conditions, provided they are returning to a developing country. The £3,000 incentive is issued on a prepaid card, which can only be used in the recipient's country of return. In 2024, Brazil topped the list of nationalities taking part in the scheme, with 3,573 citizens repatriated. It was followed by India with 915 and Honduras with 271. Those who choose to participate in the program face re-entry bans to the UK, the length of which depends on their immigration history and the level of financial support they received from the Home Office. This type of initiative is not unique to the UK. Similar schemes exist across several EU countries. For example, Italy provides €615 before departure, another €2,000 upon return, and an additional €1,000 for each family member. The Home Office defends the scheme, arguing that it represents a far more cost-effective solution for taxpayers when compared to the high costs of housing and supporting individuals facing deportation. However, Louise Carvey, Executive Director of Asylum Matters, has challenged this reasoning. She argues that if a humane and supportive system can be proven to be more cost-efficient than coercive measures, then it's time to rethink the public debate and acknowledge how much money is being wasted on hostility-based policies. The organization also stresses the need for independent bodies to provide tailored advice and support, noting that government funding for such services was cut in 2015. Separately, Labour leader Keir Starmer came under fire in March for claiming that his party had removed over 24,000 people with no legal right to remain in the country. However, he failed to clarify that this figure included both forced deportations and voluntary departures under schemes like this one. And finally, in other news, it has recently come to light just how much Sadiq Khan's mayoral office is spending on cleaning the London Underground, a revelation that emerged just days after frustrated citizens took matters into their own hands. According to official figures, taxpayers are currently footing a bill of around £12.9 million per month for graffiti removal on the tube, an operation that many believe is not being carried out effectively. This equates to over £3 million per week, or roughly £460,000 per day, paid to ABM Facility Services, the company contracted to provide the cleaning service. This disclosure coincided with an intervention by the Looking for Growth campaign group, who took direct action over the weekend by carrying out a symbolic cleanup of tube carriages. Their aim was to protest what they see as a lack of leadership from the mayor in addressing London's visible decline. Armed with just a bucket, cleaning supplies, and cloths, the activists drew public attention by scrubbing graffiti off trains on the Blue Line, highlighting how simple the task can be, and arguing that it's a job the authorities should already be doing. One participant, identified as Tom, showcased the results of their efforts on camera, noting that despite the Blue Line's notorious levels of vandalism, a few basic tools and some citizen effort made a clear improvement. The act was meant to demonstrate the inefficiency of Transport for London, TfL, and the Mayor's office in tackling the issue. TfL later responded to the criticism, explaining that the train in question had not passed through the automatic washing system due to a track defect at the depot, which had forced them to rely on manual cleaning for several weeks. This slower method, they said, had led to the accumulation of graffiti on several carriages. However, they added that following the necessary repairs, normal cleaning operations have resumed, with the entire fleet undergoing exterior washing, along with daily seat maintenance before and after service. Despite this, the problem does not appear to be isolated. Last month, TfL itself admitted a significant increase in graffiti incidents, particularly on the Blue and Central lines. But public frustration over the state of the Underground is far from new, and reflects a broader concern over the general direction of the city. According to the campaign group's spokesperson, the decline extends well beyond transport. They question Sadiq Khan's leadership, arguing that despite his repeated claims of pride in what he's achieved, many residents feel let down. In particular, they criticized the lack of action on the housing crisis and the mayor's resistance to high-rise developments, projects that could ease the housing shortage, but which, they say, Khan continues to block. In short, they believe the city is regressing under his leadership. So far, Transport for London has not issued any further comment on these criticisms. What are your thoughts on all this? Let us know in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay up to date with more UK news. See you in the next one.